and welcome to the United Community Channel. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another match preview. Manchester United versus Bodo Glimt. Whatever they're called. We're going to be previewing the upcoming game, guys, in the Europa League. Manchester United versus Bodo Glimt in the Europa League. Ruben Amorim's first game in charge at Old Trafford. An exciting night for him. And a very important night for Manchester United for a number of different reasons. So we're going to get into all of the talking points. As always, guys, we're going to talk about players returning. We're going to be talking about the importance of a win, not just for the manager, but for, I suppose, the record in Europe that we currently have. You know, it's not good over the last 12 months. And the league table as well, of course. We're going to talk a little bit about rotation. As you can see by the title on the video, changes are most certainly going to happen in relation to the game last weekend against Ipswich. We're going to talk about the opposition a little bit, and of course then we'll do our predicted 11 and our score predictions as well. Please do smash a like on the video if you haven't done so already. It helps the channel out an awful lot. Do hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel as well. On the road to 13,000 subscribers, so I do appreciate it. But as always, guys, do get your comments in to the live chat if you can. If you're watching back at a later stage, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all of the talking points that we are discussing tonight. But going to jump straight into it, guys, and we're going to talk about, obviously, the players returning. We did have Ruben Amorim's press conference today, and we did see some clips of training, and, you know, we've seen some players returning. Obviously, Lisandro Martinez is the main one. Now, we've been talking about, of course, you know, the setup of Ruben Amorim and how he's going to, you know, I suppose, implement this 3-4-3, and we've seen a lot of players play on the weekend against Ipswich that we didn't really expect were going to play. If we have a look at, you know, the starting 11 here that played on the weekend, let me remove that off the screen. You know, we've got, I suppose, a setup and a starting 11. Sorry, Martinez wasn't in it. We had, my apologies, yeah, that's wrong. Delict was out. Delict was on the right. Oh no, sorry, Delict was actually through the middle, didn't we? We had Johnny Evans played on the left. That was it. So that was our starting 11, and you know, it was an unexpected starting 11, to say the least. So with players returning, it is going to allow I suppose, Ruben Amorim to make some changes. I think none, you know, even without players returning, I think he is going to make some changes. But Martinez coming back, of course, we thought it was going to be 2 to 3 weeks. During the week, a lot of reports were coming out suggesting that he was going to miss that period of time. And we were talking about him missing up to and maybe even including the Man City game, which is in 3 weeks' time, I think. So it's good that we have him back quite early. And, you know, the sooner we have big players like that back, the better. But none more so than because of that left side of, you know, the left side of the back three, like we see Johnny Evans here. And, you know, I love Johnny Evans, of course I do, you know, an absolute, you know, one of the most honest players you would ever get at Manchester United. And, you know, we seen him on the weekend against Ipswich, you know, really play with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of, I suppose, attributes that the manager wanted him to do. He was stepping out a lot. He was pressing high, even though he knew if there was a little 1-2, he was more than likely going to be exposed in behind. So, like I said, Lisandro Martinez coming back and being available for Manchester United is a really, really big positive for us. Will he come straight into that left-sided centre-back position? I'm not 100% sure if he will, to be quite honest with you. You know, again, you don't want to rush a player back too quickly. Obviously, we seen he went on international duty there last week and he came home early because of the injury. Is it a case that maybe he was probably available to play last week, but we didn't want to rush him, we didn't want to test it, we didn't want to, you know, bring him back too soon? Whatever the case may be, I don't know if he's going to go from not even being in the squad to going straight into the first team on the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. We're talking about, you know, players that are returning as well from injury. Obviously, a big one for us as well, even though he was on the bench on the weekend, is Kobbie Mainoo. Now, Kobbie Mainoo, we know, is going to be very important to Ruben Amorim's way of playing in the future. We've seen the video clips of the first week of training. Amorim giving him a lot of one-on-one attention, a lot of one-on-one training, and little snippets of information and so on and so forth. So, when we're talking about Kobbie Mainoo, and of course we're talking about the whereabouts does he fit in, we know that, it's more than likely going to be in the Eriksen role. So obviously Eriksen played beside Casemiro. And the thing with Kobbie Mainoo is that he can play this deep-lying playmaker. Of course he can, with maybe Casemiro or whoever the other, number 6 is. But we also know, if we move Garnacho out, that he can play more advanced in the 10, So if Christian Eriksen was to remain, Mainoo can also slot into that number 10 role alongside Bruno Fernandes, which I think does give us some good options as well. I think Kobbie Mainoo is going to be very, very important to how Ruben Amorim sets up in the future, and I think he is going to have a big part to play in how Manchester United, I suppose, set up over the remainder of this season, and of course in the seasons to come. He is the type of player that you want to be building around, over the next few years, given the talent that he has. So, like I said, Kobbie Mainoo coming back is going to be very important for United. We want to get him back as quickly as possible. He was on the bench on the weekend. So I would be expecting Kobbie Mainoo to get some minutes. I would be expecting him to get some minutes midweek. And, with all due respect to the opposition, you would be expecting, for us to get some of our first teamers that are coming back from injury some game time. And I think it's important that we do get Kobbie Mainoo in as one of them. Important win. A win is vitally important on the weekend. Or sorry, not on the weekend, tomorrow night. And look, we know there's a number of different reasons for it. Obviously, Ruben Amorim's first home game at Old Trafford will be tomorrow night, which is absolutely fantastic. And I'm actually gutted I'm not going to be there, because I've got a cup season ticket, and obviously, I can't get to every game. So I'm disappointed I won't be there. But Ruben Amorim is going to be very excited. And, Manchester United as, a fan base, and Old Trafford as the Old Trafford fan base are going to be absolutely, up in rafters and, really, really excited, and really going to go out and try and get behind the manager and back him as much as possible. It is a good game to be playing your first home game, against a team like Bodo Glimt, who you would be expecting Manchester United to go out and get a result against. However, there's nothing that can be taken for granted. Now, when we're also talking about the importance of a win tomorrow, we're talking about it because of our record in Europe. You know what I mean? Manchester United have not had the greatest record in Europe the last 12 months. You know what I mean? Now, we're talking about form going into this game, not really, the best. We've got 15th place currently in the Europa League. Now, look, we know the top 24 will qualify. However, you're only sitting 2 points above that drop zone, you would say. You know what I mean? And look, when we're talking about, the overall summary of Manchester United's Europa League campaign so far, we've played 4 matches. We've only scored 7 goals. We've conceded 5. Excuse me. It doesn't make for good reading. It really, really doesn't make for good reading. And when you look at Bodo Glimt, they're actually currently sitting ahead of us in that league table as well. So, attacking-wise, going forward, Manchester United, goals per game is 1.8. And, it doesn't make for good reading, because defending, we've conceded on average 1.3 goals per game. So that's why we're looking at, the results that we've had. We've had 3 draws and a win so far. It's very, very important that we go out and get 3 points tomorrow night, just to take a bit of the pressure off more than anything else. Look, I do think Manchester United are going to qualify out of this group, or out of this, whatever you call it, league phase, whatever the league phase of the Europa League, I do think we will qualify out of it. I think it's near impossible not to qualify out of it. When you look at, now obviously there is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams don't go through. You would really, really need to be not playing well to not qualify. So look, I think 3 points on the board. You would be looking at, and again, I mean, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that we push for an automatic qualifying place either. When you talk about the top 8 that go through automatically, we're 3 points off of, the top 8. 9 points are currently sitting there with FCSB, the team that currently hold the last automatic qualifying place. So there's a lot of football left to play, and if we look at United's. Where are we going? Our fixtures coming up in the Europa League, if I can find them. I can't find them. I don't know where they are. Yeah, I'm using a new app. Anyway, yeah, so look, I mean, we do have quite winnable games coming up is what I'm trying to say. We should be winning the next 2 or 3 games. Obviously, the Rangers game is going to be the last game in January, which you would say is probably the next real test in the Europa League. But the way Manchester United have started the campaign, nothing can be taken for granted. So we need to be going out, we need to be putting 3 points on the board more than anything else. So yeah, I mean, again, more than anything, you want to see Ruben Amorim come out and get a win at Old Trafford, his first game. You want to see Man United putting a marker down for him. It's going to be interesting to see how we get on. And it's going to be interesting to see what way he sets up. Now, we're talking a little bit here about rotation. And the title of the video says, I think there is going to be rotation. I think there is going to be a lot of it. When we look at, again, we go back to look at the starting 11 that played against Ipswich on the weekend. I think there's going to be big changes here. I really do. I said after the game on the weekend that I thought it was a very experimental day for Ruben Amorim, given the players that he started, given the amount of substitutions that he made. Like I said, if you look at the starting 11 on the weekend, this was it for Manchester United on the right here. We started with Johnny Evans, Matthijs de Ligt and Mazraoui. Mazraoui was a big one, I think, for everybody in the fact that he actually started as one of the 3 centre-backs. We were talking about potentially having, De Ligt playing on that right-hand side with Mazraoui playing there and the likes of maybe, De Ligt. Yeah, I had Johnny Evans playing here, and then I had Lisandro Martinez, but obviously we didn't know he was injured. You're talking about maybe De Ligt keeping that centre role with Lenny Yoro coming in here and making up that right-hand side. So, the fact that Mazraoui played as one of the 3 was very, very surprising. And it's something that I'm quite happy about, if I'm being honest with you, because I think it opens up an awful lot of options for us now. It basically means we've got another centre-back that we can use there. Even though Mazraoui is not really a centre-back, I still subsequently would like to see him in the future in that wing-back role more than anywhere else, given the energy. And look, having players like Mazraoui in your team that can play in a number of different positions is always going to be a benefit. However, when we're talking about rotation and we're talking about players coming in and out, I think the number one player that we're going to see brought into the team on the weekend, if I take Christian Eriksen out, is going to be Mamadou Ugarte. When we look at this team that played on the weekend, we look, outside of the first 81 seconds, I think after that we looked absolutely lackluster. Christian Eriksen and Casemiro playing in midfield, I thought, when we look at these two playing in here, I thought we were absolutely swamped. I think the energy levels between the two of them were basically non-existent. I think it offered us no legs whatsoever, and I don't think we can look at doing it again, to be quite honest with you. When we look at the player ratings, Casemiro with a 6.5 and Christian Eriksen with a 6.8, I think it just goes to show the lack of legs that were in that midfield. I think we're going to see, without a shadow of a doubt, Christian Eriksen, I think, comes out and Manuel Ugarte comes in. I think Manuel Ugarte is going to be number one on the team sheet on the weekend. I think he has to start to give us the legs. And when we seen him come on the weekend, obviously he came on 56 minutes for Casemiro, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic when he came on. I thought his work rate, his energy levels, his commitment to pressing absolutely transformed the midfield for us. I really do believe that, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Now, I did say in my match preview for the game against Ipswich last week that I thought Manuel Ugarte was going to be the number one name on the team sheet as well. But being a little bit naive and a little bit, I suppose, enthusiastic about wanting him to play in Ruben Amorim's first game, I think it was probably the right decision, given the fact that he's travelling back from South America from international duty just a couple of days before. And he did only have 2 days training as well. So I think we are going to see him on the weekend. I think Manuel Ugarte is going to be the first name on the team sheet, to be quite honest with you. When we're talking about Casemiro, we did see Ugarte and Casemiro play quite well together, in that double pivot, albeit it was a different formation under Ruud van Nistelrooy. They did play in the kind of 4-2-3-1, and they played very, very well together in that area. They looked, like they had an awful lot of energy, They complemented each other very well. If one pressed, one was covering, so on and so forth. They played very close to each other, which I thought was quite good. And when you're playing with wing backs, I think the fact that Ugarte and Casemiro can play that narrow role together in midfield can only be a benefit to Ruben Amorim. So I expect Casemiro probably to remain. However, I wouldn't be surprised if Casemiro drops out and we see Kobbie Mainoo coming in to get some minutes against the likes of a Bodo Glimt. So I think Kobbie Mainoo may come in, and I wouldn't be against it. I think the energy levels that Ugarte gives you as that defensive-sided number 6, I think Mainoo can then, be freed up to play that deep-lying playmaker more than anything else. So I think Mainoo is more than likely going to come in there. Johnny Evans, I think, is going to come out. Now, like I said, we have seen Lisandro Martinez back in training today. However, is it going to be too soon for him? Is it going to be, maybe off the bench and coming in to get maybe 30 minutes at the end of the game? I think that's probably more likely. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Luke Shaw come in and play on that left side. Now, we did see Luke Shaw come off the bench on the weekend as well. He came on for Johnny Evans with 56 minutes and actually played quite well, in my opinion. I thought he played well. It's good to see him back, and like I said, he does give us another option for one of them central 3, and of course on the left hand side we did see Luke Shaw play there, not on the left of a 3, but we've seen him play actually centre back an awful lot under Erik ten Hag last season, where he played really well there. So I think Luke Shaw gives us a very good option there as the left-sided centre back, and I am going to go with him as my predicted left-sided centre back. I think our wing backs will remain the same, if I'm being honest with you. Now, when we're talking about rotation, I think it could be quite possible that we see Ahmad move up into one of the number 10 roles. I think Ahmad is made for one of them number 10s. Now, when we seen last week, again, like I said, we seen Ahmad play in that role, and he had a really, really good game. He had a 7.5 as a match rating, and he didn't look out of place, I have to say. There was once maybe where he got skinned down that right hand side, but other than that, if I was landing from Mars and looking at that game, I would say well, that's a fullback playing in a wing-back role. You know what I mean? I thought defensively he was very, very good. And going forward, of course, we've seen what he done. After 81 seconds, he set up the goal for Marcus Rashford to go on and score. So I thought Amad Diallo was absolutely fantastic there. However, I would like to see him in this number 10 role, because I think that's where he is naturally at his best, in that number 10 role. That does mean then that you're going to have to find a solution to the right wing back situation. Now, I think what we could potentially see is we could see Dalot move across. And to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Dalot playing on the left-hand side. We spoke about, and Ruben Amorim specifically spoke about how Dalot stopped, turned back in, nearly as if he was playing as a fullback. And I think a lot of that is down to the fact that he is playing on that right-hand side. And when we look at his stats, or his player ratings on the weekend, he had a 7.2. Didn't have the worst game in the world. And if we look at his heat map here, he was subsequently playing in these areas an awful lot. More defensively than in the attacking side. However, look, I mean, we can see here his accurate passes were low. There were 72%, which, 36 out of 50, which goes to show the frustrations that, he had on the weekend. I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that he's playing over on that left-hand side. I would like to see him come back, play on that right-hand side. And then, when we're talking about somebody playing on that left, there's a couple of options here. Obviously, we can look at Mazraoui coming over if Lenny Yoro comes in. And I think that could be a solution, and maybe what might happen. I think we could also see Mazraoui stay where he is, and we could see Terrell Malacia come in and get some minutes. He's been training under Ruben Amorim now for a number of weeks, a couple of weeks now, 10 days I suppose. He's back from injury. He's played a few games at under 21 level as well, and I think we might see him get some minutes. Now, it may be the case where Malacia sits out and gets a half an hour at the end, and we do see someone like Mazraoui come over here and Lenny Yoro come in. I would prefer this, to be quite honest with you. I think it's more important that Lenny Yoro gets game time than Mazraoui. So for that reason, this is how I would like to see it set up. I suppose the other area, guys, when we're talking about rotation, is up front. Okay, now we've seen Marcus Rashford play up front on the weekend in that number 9 role, and we've seen, Ruben Amorim speak quite openly about, it's not really his position. It's not the area that he's most comfortable in, and I think it's quite clear to say that in the future we're more than likely going to see Marcus Rashford in one of the number 10 positions, or maybe even as a wing back. He played in the number 9 on the weekend, and look, I mean, he got a 7.2, and I think the main reason for that was down to the goal after 82 seconds. However, outside of that, Marcus Rashford touched the ball 13 times in the game. It's just not good enough. It really isn't. And I think when we saw Rasmus Højlund come on for him in 68 minutes, I thought Rasmus Højlund offered more in that 25 minutes that he was on the pitch than Marcus Rashford did in the near 70 that he was there. Energy levels closing down, looking to get on the ball, looking to get in behind. I think more than anything, I think we're going to see Rasmus Højlund come in and play on, as the focal point in the game on the weekend. So look, I mean, I think that's what I would go with. That's what I would like to see as my starting 11. Andre Onana in the goal, Yoro, De Ligt, Luke Shaw, Manuel Ugarte, Kobbie Mainoo, Mazraoui and Dalot. Then Amad on the right side of the two number 10s, Bruno on the left, and Rasmus Højlund. Now, there are some other pointers and options here. Does Amad drop out for Mason Mount? We know how highly Ruben Amorim thinks of Mason Mount. He said on the weekend, last week, that, he loves the kid and he gets it. And, I think we're going to see a lot of Mason Mount over the remainder of this season. Is he going to start? Maybe so. I mean, I wouldn't be against Bruno and Mount playing together. They are quite similar in terms of their style of play. However, I think it would give us an awful lot of possession on the ball more than anything else. But for the moment, I'm going to stick with Ahmad as my predicted 11. I think I would like to see him given an opportunity in that number 10 role. Talking about the opposition then, guys, really quick. Obviously, Bodo Glimt, they are, like I said already, they do sit ahead of us in the Europa League table on 7 points. 2 wins, a draw and a loss. And when we talk about them specifically, they are top of the Norwegian First Division, okay, which is obviously the Premier Division for them. They are playing a game on the weekend that, if won, will win them the title. So there is a lot of talk about Bodo Glimt actually rotating for this game at Old Trafford. Will that happen? I don't think so. I think they're going to go strong. It's the first time Manchester United have ever played a Norwegian side in a competitive game, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. How we haven't played teams down through the years. I just don't know. However, they're going to go with their full strength squad. I have no doubt about that. We can't take them for granted. We know how, on the continent in these kind of games, there can be upsets, and we don't want that to happen, given the fact that, we need to get 3 points on the board. We need to jump them. We need to move up the table and really make a push in the final few games for the automatic qualification. Now, so if we're talking about a score prediction, guys, obviously, look, Manchester United are at home. First game under the lights at Old Trafford with Ruben Amorim. I think it is set up for United to hopefully go out and get the job done and get it done early and get it done convincingly. Obviously, we know there is an awful lot of new things that these players are learning and trying to implement, and I do think that will be a factor. I'm going to go with a confident 2-0 win to Manchester United. I don't think United will run away with it, given the fact that they're still taking an awful lot of information on board. This is the first full week of training that they've had, even though it hasn't been a full week. So for that reason, I'm going for a 2-0 win to Manchester United. We will be doing a live watch along for it as well, guys, so make sure you're tuning in. We'll be live for that tomorrow night at 7:30, so I hope you can join us for that. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do hit the like button. It helps the channel out an awful lot. If you're watching back at a later date, get your comments in down below. Let me know what you think about the starting 11. What would you like to see? And do hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel as well. I do appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll chat to you tomorrow night at the watch along. Have a good evening. I'll see you soon.